Hey guys, I've been trying to get away from these antique locks, and actually today this morning I decided that I was going to primarily only buy and mess with, modern day locks so I could sharpen those skills versus, just your common pin doubler locks. And lo and behold, shortly after I did that, my dad sends me a text. And he says, I got a bunch of old keys for you. And he sent me a picture, and man, I was just super excited once I saw what was in here. He had mainly, stuff like this, and this is for, I don't know if you recognize this, but this is a Yale key, I believe, and this is for one of these old Yale push key locks. See how the keyway is just flat, and that's how these went. They just were a flat piece of metal. This is not the key for this lock, but I could repin it to this key, or if I had one of these that didn't have a key, I could make a key out of this. So really cool find. Another thing I saw was, let's see here, this pancake key lock, which I can't believe my grandfather had this, this bunch of keys just sitting in his garage. So totally cool. He got them from my granddad. And he was just going through his garage and saw these and thought of how I like locks and keys and stuff. And so he asked him if I could have them. And my grandpa said, sure, why not? Not like he has any of the locks for these anymore. But anyhow, I actually did something really cool with one of these keys I wanted to show you. I bought this old Yale. I call it Duke because it's actually got the name Duke. I don't know if that's etched on it, but anyway, I'm leaving it. It's not marker or anything like that. I don't know what the heck it is, but this old Yale push key lock, and it's a really tiny one, and that's what jumped out in my mind. Has number 273 on it, but just to show you a size comparison, this is one of the standard Yale. You've seen these in a lot of videos, probably getting picked or people talking about them. This one here is just so much smaller, but internally, exact same guts. The only difference is the keyway, if you didn't see that, is not a flat piece of metal. It's a warded keyway, or it has wards, or it's a warded keyway, I guess I should say. So it doesn't take a flat key. It takes a more modern day key, which leads me to believe that I haven't really done much research on it, and I have not actually seen a lot of these. The very few I've seen, and some of them have like different shackles, and you can tell the shackle is busted off and they brazed a new one on made out of some other material. But anyhow, this was all original as far as I can tell, and but I'm thinking it might be a reissue or something like that, or something they did after the fact because of that keyway, or the shape of it anyhow. So anyway, I was going through these. I want to make a key for this, and I went out and I just kind of had this sitting around as a project I want to do later, and I actually went out and got a blank for it. It's if you ever get your hands on one of these and you just want to make a key for it to get it working, the modern day blank that works for it is a Hillman AB1. If you can see that, yeah, AB1. So this is the blank for this lock if you ever want to make a key for it. But I had planned on doing that, but all these keys practically fell in my lap. So now I had access to all these Yale keys that actually fit in the keyway you can see here. So now I've got all these Yale keys, and he had a ton of them. And like I said, you may not get as lucky as me. That one was really cool, but you may not get as lucky as I did by getting all these neat old keys, but I got really lucky, and this is actually the key I ended up making for it. This was originally a 3-pinner, and I was able to file down another pin, and then this one here stuck up just a little bit too. These two actually were okay, but these two I had to do some filing on. These two lined up at the shear line, and then this one here was above it, and this one here was above it. And when you're using these, if you want to use these, that's what you have to look for. Either all of the pins have to line up above the shear line, or if a pin does not line up at the shear line, the rest of them have to. if it lines up below the shear line, there's nothing you can do to fix that other than put like a master wafer in or something like that. But try flip-flopping the pins to see if you can't get them all above the shear line, or like 2 of them lined up with the shear line and 2 of them above it. But if you have more than 2 that fall below the shear line, just go on to the next key and try a different one. So that's my recommendation there. So I picked this open and I gutted it and I pulled the core out from it. And just to show you that it actually works, pop this baby in here. And like I said, now all the pins are lined up on the shear line, and now I can pull up on the shackle, or I guess push in the key, and then pull up on the shackle, and now it's open. So this old Yale key, I don't know if it's the original key they would have used for this, but it's kind of neat how they match up. And just please don't try to like use this idea and then sell, you know, a lock like this. I'm probably gonna keep this lock forever because it's a really cool old lock, and I've never seen another one like this, or you know, a mini even close to this. So I'm probably gonna keep this. So I'm not doing anything like shady or anything like that. But don't make a key for it yourself, and not tell the person that's buying the lock that you made the key. Just be honest. And like I said, I'm not trying to create a way to make counterfeit keys, you know, for these or anything like that. And more than likely, if you tell them that, you know, I just used an old key and repurposed it for this, they won't mind. Might be worth a little less, but not much less, you know. And obviously, anyone who knows which key goes to which lock, you know, any collector is going to be able to say, you know, this isn't the right key for it, so I know it's not the original key. But anyhow, don't try to scam people with this idea. But anyhow, the keys, I mean, the keys back in the day were really cool. I don't know if you saw that or not, but this one has the word security written on the blade, which is really cool. I'm gonna see if I can get a good focus on that. Come on, baby. Nope, not gonna focus, sorry. There it is. Okay, so it has the word security on there. I've never seen that on a modern day key, so I thought it was pretty cool. So anyhow, I put it in there. I gutted it. I put the key in the plug, and then I found that two of the pins hit the shear line, and 2 of them just needed some filing. And I did the filing, and now it works great. So don't overlook these when you're at a garage sale or something like that. Make sure that you know, if you can get a box like this for a couple bucks at a garage sale or an auction, or you know, online or something like that, it's definitely worth the money, because I would have paid, you know, crazy amounts for, you know, a key like this that would work in this neat old lock. So another thing I found in this box, which is really interesting, other than the push key locks and the pancake lock key and a bunch of other cool keys like this Miller lever lock key and all that kind of stuff, and this guy here, I think this is an Eagle or something. But anyway, I've got a Fort coming in the mail, a Fort lock. There's a Fort key in here that it's really cool. It has like a Fort on it. I'm going to show you when I get the lock all done. But really cool stuff. And like I said, I kind of hit the jackpot on this. So don't expect this every time you buy a big bag or an old box of locks, or keys. But definitely don't overlook those, and finger through those, you know, and look through them and stuff like that, you know, while you're there if you can, and you know, see what you can find, and you might get a good deal on some. But anyhow, this Russwin my dad gave me, he bought it at an antique store, and when he gave it to me, the shackle wouldn't even move, let alone the core. It was so gummed up, it was watertight, and I'll show you a picture of it. Let's just say now. And basically, you can see that I was sprayed it with WD-40, and you can see how it just, instead of running through the lock like it would ordinarily do, it just pooled up on the top of the lock. So definitely gummed up. It was watertight, and I let it sit like that for a day, and it still did not move. So what I had to do is clamp it in a vise this way, and I just slowly clamped it while spraying it with WD-40, and finally you heard it go pop. and that meant the shackle came loose. And it wasn't this loose. It was, more like you had to tug on it to do it. But anyhow, I got that loose, and then this core was another like beast of its own right. It was so seized up, and it still is. It still is pretty bad that all the pins are seized up in it. But I tried everything. I tried, putting a screwdriver in there and rocking it while spraying it with WD-40, all that kind of stuff. I could not get it to spin. And what I ended up doing is, since the entire thing looked like it had been dipped in caramel, like if you work on engines, stuff like that, varnished gas. And, I don't know if they just lubed it the heck out of it or what, but anyhow, it was just coated with this stuff in here. And you could see it and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, it was watertight. So I thought, caramel, you'd heat that up in the oven, wouldn't you? So instead of putting it in my oven at my house and stinking up the entire place, I hung this up by a little wire, and I took a blowtorch, and I just put the flame down here and just kind of kept revolving the flame, not just holding it in one spot. And then all of a sudden, all this black goo, like all at once, it was funny. It just started just coming out of there. And then while it was still hot, I put a screwdriver in and turned it, and then I cooled it. I quenched it and just kept spinning it, because the first time I quenched it, it seized back up for whatever reason. So the second time I quenched it and I kept spinning it, and it stayed free. So anyhow, just goofing off, I got this lock out. I'm going to have to take it apart. I tried knocking this pin out. You can see it's got these pins in it to hold the shackle in. I don't know if you can see that one or not, but it's got these pins to hold the shackle in, and then this pin holds the plug in. It goes through a little notch in the plug. I thought it would knock out the front, but it didn't. So I'm going to have to drill it out and then pull the plug and clean up all those pins and stuff like that, and then put a new piece of metal in there, or a brass rod or something like that, and then file it up or sand it up real nice. But anyhow, you can see this key here is not working right now. Why are you working? Well, sometimes you gotta, there we go. Sometimes you gotta bang on the Bible to get those springs to drop down, to get those pins to drop down. It's kind of funny. But anyway, they're so seized up when you tap on it. Now you can see the key spins and the lock opens. So, and this was just a key I found in this box. I mean, one in a million chance, but a key I found in this box worked in this lock that I've been trying to get going forever. So, like I said, try not to overlook these and overlook these old keys, because they can be really helpful and just make your lock experience a lot more fun. So anyhow, I'll wrap this up. Please don't use any of this information for anything illegal, and don't scam people with the using the old keys. Have fun. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Grandpa Vertus. Thanks for watching.